Reading from the Untuning of the Sky, Ideas of Music and English Poetry, John Hollander.
Untuning of the Sky, they call it.
Untuning of the Sky. One other theme. One other theme in the non-professional attitude toward music that began to emerge in the early 19th century era of secular humanism is that of the role of music in education on the one hand, and in the list of accomplishments demanded of any courtier on the other. The roots of the former lie in the study of speculative music in the medieval universities, and of the latter probably as far back as the sense of courtly technique of the troubadours who would write and compose the texts and melodies of their lace and Cervantes, would always have a jocular to play, and the temperaments and introductions of the vili, and sometimes to sing the songs. The role of music in what I shall call Renaissance poetry finds its mechanical delineation from the courtly point of view in Castiglione, as its place in the total scheme of human knowledge may be said to have been most elaborately expounded in Fascinio. But it is Northern Europe and England in particular with which we are concerned here, the time lag between England and Italy with respect to the development of what we might distinguish as courtly and scholarly humanism, which were locked together in Italy almost from the beginning by a bond of patronage, is considerable. It is only with the Tudor courts that we see either of these branches of Renaissance enlightenment flourishing at all, notwithstanding the possible accomplishments of Henry V as a composer. Henry V as a composer. It is for this reason that an extended discussion of the educative function of music dating from the last quarter of the 15th century can be of such interest for us here, as much because of its precociousness as for the role of the digression on music in the overall theme of the poem in which it occurs. This poem is the Orpheus and Eurydice of another Scottish, Chaucerian. Who is that? Scottish Chaucerian Robert Henryson, a retelling of the story of the Thracian musician. It concludes with the lengthy.
You know what means Thracian?
Yeah, it means eastern Greece. You know where Thraki is? That's where we're moving to. I've decided to move to Thraki, in the countryside, next to the border to Istanbul. Lenki moralitas, or allegorical translated from the Latin Henryson, admits of the late 13th century Dominican Nicholas Treval. The poem commences with an account of Orpheus' lineage, including a description of, quote, Memoria, unquote, and her daughter, muses, many of whom are praised for musical skills. The second may clipped melimopum as honey suited in modulation. Finally, the poet mentions the last of these and returns to Orpheus' mother herself. Urania, the night and last of all, in Greek language, quia thou reacheth expound, is Kalit harmony celestial, releasing men with melody and sound. Amongst their nigh Calliope was ground and made a queen by mighty god Phoebus. Off Quiom he got his prince Sir Orpheus. No winder was thought he was fair and wise, gentle and good, full of liberties, his fader god, and his progenitrice a goddess, finder of all harmony. When he was born, Echo set him on her knee, and gate he succor, little protesqua, and quicola of all music perfect. Final couplet leaves no doubt as to the divine nature of Orpheus's musical gifts. Henningson then goes on to tell of the young lord's love for the Queen Eurydice and her Queen Eurydice, and her mishap with the serpent's bite, and her descent to hell, and after lamenting her loss in complicated 10-line stanzas, Orpheus goes to seek his wife and gets the aid of his fader Phoebus, who leads the young man through all the spheres of heaven. In search of her, he has just left Mercury. Qualit is the god of eloquence, all unsuccessful to return to earth. It be the way some melody he learnt. In his passage among the planets all, he heard a heavenly melody and sound, passing all instruments musical, cause it be Roland of the spheres round. Quite a harmony of all this, mappa mundi, the world, cooled moving sus und perpetual cease, coolka of this world, Pluto, the soul can call. There lierit hitonus proportionat as duplari, triplari, and amatricos, inolios, and the quadruplate, epaduios, reach hard and curious, of all their sex, suit delicious, reach consonant, five heavenly symphonies composed are clicus and devised. First, diatesaron fosudai wisant, de paison sempre don plate and temperante complanant with this. I don't know what this is, dear. It's Latin. There maketh five with the multiplicate this missing music and missalate. I don't know what this is. Old English. Complete and full of numerous odd and it cause be moving of the heaven. I don't know what this is, dear. Is it mixed up Old English with Latin? Hear the music of the spheres. He's talking about the music of the spheres. Is seen as educating the questing Orpheus even more completely, and imparting more precious arcana than he had received, so literally at his mother's breast. Here again are overtones of Scipio's dream journey and the celestial music. We're reading about celestial music in Renaissance poetry of England, which he heard. Unto it is the perfect Pythagorean revelation in that the Murray and the mellifluate qualities of the music result from the fact that the music is, quote, complete and full of numbers odd and even. The music's complete and full of numbers odd and even, which in turn is caused by the celestial revolutions Henryson. We're reading the poetry of Henryson, who is the Scottish Chaucer. Henryson, a schoolmaster of Dunfermline, as Dunbar refers to him in his famous lament for dead poets. Protest.
See, the Scottish, Irish, they got the music from Danish and Greeks.
Protest his ignorance of any
This is
practical
all the way
music.
there. He brought them the music. That's why they have so much similarities.
But the music's
Same
playing,
music still.
let's say the music's not just of the Greeks, it's playing everywhere. Where is it playing?
It started from
Off-site music, out light, white, I do but do. Fair, thou fair of this matter astray I lay, for in my life I couth never sing a knot, night. But aside from a few uncertainties, dialectic to scribble and otherwise, his exposition makes excellent sense. So does his description of Orpheus playing in the underworld. Later on in the poem, he writes, Then Orpheus before Pluto sat down, and in his hands quatis hercata and pliant money suit proportion, with bass tones and apatotorica, with melinking and vicarica. Para was the last four with grit petty. Thou a sort that couts him hair and say. I can't hardly read this stuff. What are they? How do you read Old English? This is so old it's incomprehensible. I was reading the Scottish Chaucer, reading all about the music of the spheres and the celestial music and the ideas of music in English poetry. Goodness, Untuning of the Sky. This is harder than reading Shakespeare. Yeah, this is classical scholarism. He's like a classic scholar. They don't make scholars like this anymore. They all died. And no one now is a scholar. Page 84. The Untuning of the Sky.